I want to talk about Sam Harris. Let's get a little bit podcast esoteric. We have this clip, and there's been a whole bunch of clips from Sam Harris that have been going around. For those that aren't familiar, he's a very, very big podcaster, and it appears that he has, I don't think he lost his mind. I think that he embodies the grift perfectly. You've got people who are passionate and dedicated to what they believe. You've got people like Brett Weinstein who are very, very adamant about their beliefs and their expertise. And then you get Sam Harris, who just says whatever the most tepid, centrist, neoliberal thing is, even if it makes no sense, even if you know he knows he's lying about what he's saying. So he has this clip. I'm going to play this clip for you guys.
But dial up the deadliness of the pathogen. Give us something like, airborne Ebola that incubates for a month. You don't know you have it, and you walk around spreading it, and it's got, a 75% fatality rate, and it's mostly killing kids. No one gets to make that choice anymore. I mean, then literally the cops come in and vaccinate you. And I would say that all of us would agree to that. The moment, again, that you turn up the lethality on the pathogen, you turn up the effectiveness of the vaccine, you turn down the risk of the vaccine. Give me a truly safe vaccine where there's not even one documented case of vaccine injury, right? So then you just have to be completely crazy to be worried about being vaccinated in that kind of environment. Then it's just a no-brainer. Then we just don't tolerate a diversity of opinion because the stakes are too high. It's a full-on emergency. Bodies of kids are being stacked up in parks, right? There's so many of them we don't know what to do with them. We've got these mobile morgues. And we have a vaccine that actually works, and then we've got RFK Jr. saying, maybe you don't want, maybe you don't want to get the jab on Rogan's podcast, right?
So did you hear what he just said about RFK Jr.? He says, imagine a scenario where it's a 75% mortality rate. The vaccine is perfect. Everyone knows it's perfect.
And children are dying.
Children are dying and being pulled in the street. Now RFK is saying, don't do it? No. RFK was talking about now you made up a fake scenario in your own mind and then criticized RFK for saying something in your own mind. Dude is losing it. He's completely losing it.
This was the bodies in the, he could have children's bodies in the basement and I would still vote for him guy, right? I don't really understand how he made his career happen when it's based completely apparently in fiction.
I want to read this tweet from Dave Smith. He said, quote, imagine if everything was completely different. Then things would be different. Imagine if COVID had a 100% death rate and the vaccine was perfectly safe. RFK looks pretty stupid now. It's just absolutely remarkable. I'll tell you what I think Sam Harris is doing. He just wants to stay on the good side of the machine. He wants to still maintain some kind of academic contrarian personality type, but he is worried about being on the other side of the machine. That's it. So what he just said made literally no sense.
I missed the best minute probably of
but
the whole night.
I also want to point out too, this whole statement. Let's just say you have airborne Ebola, 100% mortality rate or whatever, 30-day incubation, like the worst case scenario. And then RFK Jr. comes out and says, maybe you don't want to get the vaccine. And the police are going into people's homes and forcefully vaccinating them. My response right away is, I don't trust the government. Sam Harris's world is so insane. It's like he lives in this reality where the government is a big marshmallow man that wants to hug you. Mm-hmm. Like, bro, the government quite literally is a demon, is a gigantic demon with fangs trying to drink your blood. Okay. There are some circumstances where that gigantic demon does things for us because there are other gigantic demons trying to drink our blood. You see what I'm saying? And so one day, the gigantic government demon stops a war from happening, like stops an invasion from coming into your home. You go, wow, thank you so much, demon. See, this is why we need the demon. Then the demon grabs someone, cracks them in half and drinks their blood and throws their body. Like Sam Harris needs to read a history book because governments throughout history, in almost every single circumstance, are really, really bad. There's good things that come with government. Small government, I'm talking like small towns and local stuff, tends to work fairly well, but large scale stuff tends to be very, very demonic. And here's a guy so desperate to stay in the neoliberal space that he makes this, he espouses his sophistry.
Mm-hmm. I wish I'd heard it.
Well, I think what's strange is the mental gymnastics he has to go through to create a scenario where the world that he wants is correct, where RFK is, saying the wrong thing and doing the wrong thing. So he creates a completely fake scenario. It seems like the worst talking point of all time. I'm sure I say weird stuff too on the internet, but it seems indicative of the culture he is in, where I could give you a completely hypothetical situation that I have made up and then apply it to a real world example that actually has nothing to do with it.
I love this response from Tristan Tate. He said, if ifs and buts were candies and nuts. That's an excellent response to Sam Harris. I think what happened is, and the reason why I want to talk about this is this is the intellectual dark web guy. This big podcast. What was his podcast called?
Yeah.
You remember what it was called?
It was Sam Harris something intelligent something. Or I don't know. I'll look it up.
And it was him, and he would sit around with Joe Rogan and Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin, and they would talk about all this stuff, and it was like, oh, very fascinating. And now he's been going out saying
Making sense. That was
making
the name
sense.
of it, yeah.
Criticizing Joe Rogan, saying he's captured by his audience. I'm like, bro, that's quite literally you. Joe Rogan just drank Bud Light. Joe Rogan on 2 occasions cracked up on a Bud Light and said the whole thing was silly. Despite the massive backlash against the company, it's not audience capture. That's Joe Rogan just being him and doing what he wants to do. This guy is willing to say whatever nonsense he can to try and stay in the limelight, not piss off the neoliberal establishment. That's the definition of grifting, I suppose.
Well, I'd like to get him in studio at some point. It seems like
He
we
won't
have a
do
lot of similar friends. He was just with on Modern Wisdom.
Right. Yeah, but he won't do it. He's like, he said in one interview, I'd love to talk with Jordan or Brett, about these things. And then he literally doesn't talk to them. Mm-hmm. Or I don't think he mentioned Brett. It was like Jordan and Joe or something. I don't know.
Brett Weinstein.
Yeah. And then Brett's like, he literally won't talk to us about this. And Brett's an evolutionary biologist. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, it's plastic, man.
Yeah, he knows he's supposed to say, oh, no, of course I'd be willing to talk to them. And it's like, then do it immediately. The entire
he knows his argument's flawed. He wouldn't win an argument, so that's why he won't.
If he's allowed to make up his own facts and everyone agreed with him 100%, then he could win. So I don't understand. He can just make up scenarios all day long and he'll be fine, right? That's what we learned from this interview.
Yeah.
I think that's so weird to make this hypothetical because you don't like RFK Jr. so much that you would say, if the virus was more deadly and also vaccines were better and also there was a massive emergency, like none of those things happened. Point to one time that has happened where this has been the case. He can't even cite a historical precedent. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Was he playing the devil's advocate to the point where
he's just playing dumb, I
he's
think.
just become the devil?
So I think what happened with him is he has Trump derangement syndrome.
That is so weird coming from a guy that's supposed to be an intellectual. I still don't get it.
Here's what I think happens. He sees Trump losing and he thinks to himself, oh man, if I'm on the side of Trump, I'm on the wrong side of history. I'm done. I'm going to come out and say whatever I have to say to be this centrist, but still in the good side of the machine personality.
I get
that forces him to adopt a bunch of positions that make no sense.
I get that from Neil deGrasse Tyson too. I think he just said there was many genders.
Yep.
He's a scientist and he said that.
Yep.
And I'm like, I want to be diplomatic with these guys, but it's just to the point where if you're going to be dumb, you're not part of the solution.
They're going to be dumb. They're evil.
Either one or the other. Either they're plaintively stupid or they're acting maliciously. So I don't know.
This is the scary reality. When you see someone like Neil deGrasse Tyson come out and be like, there are more than 2 genders. You're like, okay, how much did they pay you? Because come on, dude. You can look up any 5th grade science book and it'll tell you about I'm sorry, more than 2 sexes. You look up any 5th grade biology book, there are 2 sexes.
Oh, so did he say there's more than 2 genders? But
no, he said sexes. He said that we've learned now.
Confusing.
And then you got that guy, Colin Wright posted this, the guy who said that there are 6 biological sexes. It's like these people are unwell. 2 + 2 = 5. Their worldview is shattered. I don't see how they can build a cohesive community if their worldview makes no sense.
Well, you know what I'm thinking about is religion. How do you build a cohesive community around something that cannot be proved? Like if you tell a kid 2 + 2 = 5, but look, here's 2, and here's 2. If you count them, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. But 2 + 2 = 5. The kid will think, okay, I can accept these things, even though I can't prove why or it doesn't make sense, but I will accept that those are both true. And so you could make a community
their
around
logical pathways, their reasoning breaks because now they can't connect dots.
Do you think that I don't want to get too deep into religion, but people that just blindly accept have faith in things that are unprovable, that they have like broken logic pathways?
No.
Do you have to break your logic pathway to believe something without proof?
No. What do you mean?
Well, without evidential proof,
So
why would you ever believe it?
So let's say you stumble across a spattering of chocolate on your floor, and there is a cake on your counter that is destroyed. Something ate your cake and got the chocolate on the floor. The first thing we do is we make an assumption. We form a hypothesis. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and assume that someone smashed and destroyed the cake. That's apparent by the fact the cake is smashed and destroyed. I'm now going to assume that it was not a human who did it because a human would not flip the cake and the chocolate onto the ground. Oh, hold on. Why would you believe something without proof? Why would you operate under this concept without actually having been able to prove it? The only way to lead yourself to prove it is if you operate under the assumption it is potentially true. So now you're sitting here saying, it's going to take me a while to figure out what happened to this cake, but I think it was an animal that did it. Okay, now we assess how many animals do we have in the house. We have a cat, we have a dog. Likely not going to be the cat. Maybe the cat, though. The cat maybe like booped it off the counter. Maybe the dog jumped up and got it. We're going to choose a hypothesis, and then we're going to pursue it. We are going to operate under an assumption so that we can try and figure out the truth. Now, it may turn out to be that both the cat and the dog are covered in chocolate, and you're going to have to operate without being able to know for sure. My point here is that's logic. If you can look at a cake on the ground and it's flipped over and be like, okay, none of the humans here did this, right? It's possible they did, but unlikely they did. So I'm not going to pursue that course of investigation. That's using logic. Now, if a child can't understand the concepts because they've been told 2 + 2 = 5, they look at the cake on the ground, they look at the cake on the counter, they see the smash, that's chuck on the floor, and they go, a rabbit broke into my house and got my cake?
Oh, wow. They'll be more likely to believe
nonsensical, insane things that you should not be led to believe. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.